Okay, so this is part 2 of the Q&A video, and I got some inbox questions here from Clownman63. Do you see Ryback ever getting back to the main event again? And do you think he was pushed too fast to begin with? I definitely see Ryback back in the main event, even if it's just as a filler opponent for someone else like Cena again. I don't think he was pushed too fast. What I think happened to Ryback is he was doing good squashing the jobbers. And it was when it was time for him to move on and move up the ranks, his initial matches had him selling for guys like Jinder Mahal and crap like that. And I think it would have been a lot better for Ryback, because he was getting over when he was squashing the jobbers. It would have been a lot better if he just started to move up the ranks, kept the matches really short, he just destroyed guys, and just kept going and going like a wrecking ball. And they didn't do that with him. Instead, they had him start selling, and then they beat him. And that was pretty much it. He never really recovered from that. So when it was time for Ryback to turn heel and feud with Cena, which would have been a lot cooler if he had been destroying everybody, it'd be like, wow, Cena's got some real competition now. Instead, it was a guy who had already been beaten. If you could choose 3 wrestlers from WWE's current roster to become main eventers that have yet to hold a world or WWE title, which 3 would you choose? And explain whether they'd be face or heel and why. Number 1 has to be Antonio Cesaro. I definitely see him in the main event one day. Currently, if he was instantly put in the main event, he would have to be a babyface because the fans are just so into him. I would prefer him to be a heel, though, just because I did enjoy his run as the U.S. champion when he came out and was shitting all over America and everything, and was getting heat, but they stopped that for whatever reason. Number 2 would have to be Roman Reigns. I definitely see main event potential in Roman Reigns. I know WWE wants to push him. Out of the 3 members of the Shield, he has the look they like. And even though I really like Dean Ambrose, and I was close to going with Dean Ambrose for this question, I have to go with Roman Reigns, just because the way he looks, I could see him getting a babyface Batista push. Just destroying guys. He's a big muscular dude, and he just reminds me of Batista in that sense. And while I really like Ambrose, I don't know if he could be in the main event right now. I mean, he's got good mic skills and everything, but as far as main event, it just looks like Roman Reigns has that look. So then we have number 3. I really like Damien Sandow, and I could see him getting a world title run, but I don't know if he would ever be main event, as much as I like him. And I consider WWE title runs main event, obviously. World title, I could see Sandow getting a run with that. I could see Biggie Langston getting a run with the world title. He's another guy. WWE title, I don't know. He's jacked, but his promos are just really bad, kind of like Roman Reigns, but at least Roman Reigns is tall and muscular. Biggie's kind of short, and I just don't know if I see Biggie in the main event. It's hard for me to find a 3rd one. That's the problem with WWE today. I can't even pick 3 guys who would become main eventers. You got fucking Roman Reigns and Antonio Cesaro. But I'm also not really going based on my personal preference. I'm going by what I see WWE realistically doing here. Suicide, why do you say Roman Reigns is green in the ring? I think for his size, he's been putting some great matches on all the time. He's very agile. I understand he is rough on the mic, but he has the rest of it down. I think Rollins is weak link of group. What do you think? I definitely disagree with that. I think Roman Reigns, all around, is the weak link of the Shield. You have Dean Ambrose, who is the best on the mic. You got Seth Rollins, who is the best in the ring. And then you have Roman Reigns, who is just big. That's his role, to be the big guy. And I think if you watch some of those Rollins and Reigns tag matches against the Usos, when Reigns is in there, and he's against the Usos, who are guys he probably trains with, it's just not polished. You can tell he still has a lot of improving to do. And I like all three members of the Shield, but I definitely think when it comes to mic skills and ring work, Roman Reigns is the weak link. He's probably going to go on to be a bigger star than the other two, but in my opinion, he's still fairly green. He does a great job for not having the experience of the other two, who grinded their way on the indies. But yeah, he definitely has some room for improvement. More entertaining heel champion, King Booker or The Miz, and explain why. I'm going to say King Booker, just because I thought Booker T was more entertaining. He had more experience in the business. The Miz, for what they put him in, and put him in this huge storyline. He was the champion. He got in this feud with John Cena. For not having the experience and being put in that role, I thought he did a really good job with it. And I liked both runs as heel champions for these guys. But as far as more entertaining heel champion, I gotta go with King Booker. Okay. What can WWE do with Curtis Axel now, since his 5-month Intercontinental title reign was very dull? Do you think he's a lost cause, or can he at least be a mid-carder for several years to come? Honestly, Curtis Axel is so boring. I don't even know if he could be a mid-carder. And it's not necessarily his fault if they pushed him after he technically beat Cena and Triple H, and they stayed with him and kept trying to push him. He could have reached that level where he could have been a good mid-carder. And it's not his ring work that's the problem. And his promos are pretty bad, but I guess they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're pretty bad, but they're watchable or something, I guess I'm trying to say. They're decent. That's too strong of a word, honestly, but his problem is he doesn't have the it factor. He has no charisma. None. He is just so bland and generic. You can make better wrestlers on, like, Create a Wrestler video games, just throwing shit out there, than Curtis Axel. I mean, he has no star power and is just so average. So I don't know if he could be a mid-carder for several years. I would like to see the guy get some type of a push, but I just don't see anybody ever getting into Curtis Axel. Not after what they've done to him. I mean, he wasn't getting any heat before, and now no one gives a fuck about him. If it wasn't for Benoit's tragic incident where McMahon had to admit his death storyline with the limo blowing up was scripted, what do you think the storyline would have came out to be? I've always found that interesting, since they definitely had something planned with the playing up that he was dead and stuff. I have no idea, and that's one thing that I was really disappointed by, is that storyline ending with no resolution. I don't know where WWE was going to go with that. I don't know if they had like a big plan, but I would love to find out if like one of the writers ever came out and said what the idea was. Yeah, even guessing, I guess. I can't really remember the storylines at the time, the storylines that were going on, but I assume there would be maybe a masked person show up and take the mask off after screwing over one of the baby faces or something, and it's Vince McMahon. Who knows? I have no idea about that. Okay, so on to the questions on the last channel update video I did. We have Robert Strickland, who says, cool. Miguel Vila Gomez. Really liked your movie reviews. Can you please do a movie review on the Blair Witch Project? Big fan. There's only 2 of those, I think. Yeah, I will probably do that in the future, actually. I really did like the first Blair Witch movie. It scared the crap out of me. I was very young when I went to see it in theaters. And I also found the second movie, Book of Shadows, terrifying. So I haven't really watched those in years. I haven't seen the first one since I saw it in theaters, so it'll be interesting to see if they still have an effect on me. Robert Strickland, what's the best horror movie of all time? My favorite is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know if necessarily it's the best, but for the era, the budget, and what they put together, I think it was very well done and very creepy and disturbing. Matt Whitman. How could TNA improve or push James Storm? Who are some other people in TNA you think deserve a push? The typical answers here, guys like Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. Guys they've had for a long time, they just never seem to really do a lot with. And James Storm could improve by winning some matches and maybe getting out of this crappy tag team with Gunner, who seems to just suck the fucking life out of the room whenever he shows up. I liked Gunner initially, but now I just feel like he's an anchor on James Storm. It's not, being with James Storm is not helping Gunner, it's just holding Storm back at this point. And Storm definitely deserves a push, a nice run with the title, and hopefully he gets it soon. Anime Watcher 62, what are your thoughts on CM Punk going out with AJ Lee? Comments may be messed up here because this says number 3, so I'm not sure what's going on with these comments, but CM Punk going out with AJ Lee, I hope that's a rumor and is not actually happening, because I would be very disappointed, because CM Punk is an asshole. Scorp18, hey, long time no chat, how have you been? Damn, 2,000 subscribers. I remember when you were doing 500 subs shoutouts. Congrats, man. Thank you. I know Scorp's been a subscriber for a very long time, and hopefully I can do another subscriber shoutout video soon. Winterman, who do you like better, Katie Vick or Mae Young? Mae Young. Miguel Vila Gomez. Oh, can you start making movie reviews on like current movies, horror only? There are some horror movies that have recently come out I really cannot wait to watch. Number 1 being The Conjuring. Definitely going to do some more reviews once I watch these movies. CM Punk BITDub1514. Will you ever have another CZW review? Who is your favorite CZW wrestler? Yes, I will do more CZW reviews. Probably going to do Cage of Death this year. Favorite CZW wrestler of all time? I want to say Necro Butcher, but he was just arrested for beating his wife, and I kind of feel bad for saying that, but I really was a huge fan of Necro Butcher. Zandig, of course. If you're talking current CZW, Danny Havoc. The guy's amazing. He's too good for CZW, in my opinion. James Exorcist, what's your fave video game genre? Probably role-playing games. But I also really like all video games except for like sports. And driving games like Need for Speed. I don't really get into those. So I would say role-playing games followed by first-person shooters, and then sometimes, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Sometimes you can combine those two, and you can get a game like Fallout, where it's a first-person shooter that's also an RPG. Do you think that after the Aces and Eights are finished, TNA will create another Dominant Hill faction? Hopefully not for a very long time, because if they did it too soon, people are just going to shit all over it instantly because of the crappy Aces and Eights storyline. But I'm sure at some point they will. And Winterman, would you rather dress up like Doink the Clown for Christmas or Fandango if you had to choose? I would say Doink the Clown. Winterman, did you ever watch Tim and Eric? And if so, do you like them? I do like them. That's the type of humor not a lot of people get, but I found it to be entertaining. They had a good run. I'm not really sure why shows I like tend to end, but whatever. And fuck one, marry one, punch one, Caitlyn, Tamina, Snuka, or Karma. I guess I would marry Karma because I feel like she would keep it real, you know. And I would have sex with Caitlyn, and I guess I'd punch Tamina. I'm going to answer one more, and then I got to get something to drink. Copeland Barbie. Who do you think is the hottest women wrestler? Right now, AJ Lee. Of all time, Trish Stratus. That's just my opinion. There have been some gorgeous women wrestlers. Kelly, Eve Torres, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. My God, she's got to be up there too, you know. But got to go with Trish Stratus. Get No Cheeks. What happened to the Always Sunny reviews? I hate reviewing something and then not being able to finish it. And so far, the only TV show I think that's happened with is Always Sunny. And I'll tell you why. It is very hard to review a show like that. Unless the video is only going to be like a fucking minute long. And you say, hey, this episode was pretty funny. I like this. And then the review's over at like a minute. Or you tell people what happened, and then you're just repeating the jokes. So it was really hard to review. I'll probably review this last season, the newest season, as a whole, and just say what I thought about the season overall, even though I haven't watched any of it yet. But yeah, doing the episodes, it was just too difficult to review a show like this. And the reason I haven't even got to watch it is because they moved to this new channel, FXX, or whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. And now it's really hard to watch because the DVR, something happened with the channel where it just said to be announced for like 2 weeks. So it didn't record the episodes. I got most of them recorded. And I remember the premiere episode on FXX had like audio problems. It was just a cluster. Brent William Henry, are you interested in doing your own podcast? Yeah, I would love to do my own podcast, something like the Wrestling Observer or like the Steve Austin podcast. That's another really good podcast. I know the Wrestling Observer technically isn't a podcast, but it's just audio, no video. Sid Siddiqui, Bray Wyatt is attacking AJ Lee's ex-boyfriend. Do you think AJ is Sister Abigail? And Isaiah1231CP NYC responded with, LOL, AJ has nothing to do with the Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan storyline. And I agree with that. I don't think AJ is going to be involved with the Wyatt family. I guess I could see why some people would think that because AJ's kind of crazy and the Wyatts are like this cult, but I think that would be a little too cartoonish for these characters. You need to keep them serious. As serious as you can make characters like that, who are like B horror movie villains. Copeland Barbie, is Terry Funk, 69 years old, ruining or bettering his legacy by continuing to wrestle? You know what? With guys like Ric Flair, they ruin their legacy by going out there and continuing to wrestle. But Terry Funk, his fucking legacy is going out there and continuing to wrestle. So no, I do not think it's ruining his legacy. If Terry Funk wants to go out there and have a match, I'm not going to tell him no. He's a grown-ass man, can do whatever he wants to do, and that's the Funker, man. That's why he's the shit. Dakota Pullen, TWFS buttons, I have no idea what that means. Big Chris 145, has the WWE moved to a new era from a PG era to a reality era or something other than that? I think they're still in the PG era. Everything feels the same, and if they have moved on to a new era like a reality era, my God, I think it may be worse. So hopefully this is still PG and whatever they go to next will be better. Just Credible 9, you should watch and review the Aussie horror movie classic Wolf Creek. I think I have that DVD. That's about the... It's kind of like the Australian Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's one guy, and I think it's based on a true story. I saw that movie years ago, and I do have it on DVD. We'll probably review that at some point. Lacey Walters, what do you think of the Shield as a team and as individuals? Who is your favorite? I kind of mentioned this early on. My favorite is Ambrose, just because I really liked his work on the Indies as John Moxley. But the Shield is an awesome team. I mean, you take guys like this, and you don't really know if they're going to succeed or fail. A lot of it does depend on booking. But the Shield have done an amazing job. They're a fantastic team. And as individuals, I like all three guys. But my favorite's Ambrose. Except that earring. Does anybody else think it's just that earring is just weird, doesn't work? Eric St. Pierre, what are your thoughts on Halloween 3? I personally enjoyed it, but I want to know your thoughts. Halloween 3, is that the one where it's not really about Michael Myers? To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen some clips and stuff here and there, and I've seen it on TV occasionally, and I'll watch some of it. But I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it from beginning to end, so I can't really judge it on that. When I was a kid watching all the Halloweens, I skipped it. I wouldn't watch it at all. I only cared about the Michael Myers movies. So I can't really say. Sunil A. Patel. Oh, but when I do the Halloween series reviews, like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, I will watch the third one. Sunil A. Patel, what do you think of TNA now Hulk and Bischoff are gone? I think it's a great start to improving the company. Those guys did nothing but suck the money right out of Dixie Carter, and they didn't care. They didn't care if they sucked out every last fucking dime and left TNA just like a dried out husk. They wouldn't give a shit, and you don't want guys like that who don't care about the future of the company in the company. And I don't know if TNA ever woke up and said, hey, we need to get rid of these guys, or if they just ran out of money to pay them. As sad as that sounds. I don't know if they ever realized the error of their ways. Kyler James, in your honest opinion, was the Montreal Screwjob a work or a shoot? I have no idea. I never thought of it as a work until I started watching shoot interviews where guys were saying that, yeah, it was a work because Vince got the black eye too quick. Nobody knew what really happened except Vince and Bret Hart. Then I started to question it. But it's like 9/11, a conspiracy theory. It's really interesting to hear about, but I really can't say. I love hearing people talk about how it was a work, but I mean, they probably need some more evidence. I'm gonna say it was a shoot.